Hi, everyone. Here are the pictures of the Blaze and the Nook at the solution location. Now, I want to explain something up front. First of all, I'm assuming that you watched the previous videos and you know how I solved the poem and how it led me to this specific location, which is the campground on the lower camp that's closest to the Five Springs waterfalls. What I want you to know up front is that I'd never been to this spot. The people, Justin and Michelle, that recorded this video footage and these pictures, they were there multiple times and they just went there yesterday to take pictures of the stuff that they seen when they were on site. Now, keep in mind, I sent them to this location, to this specific campground. Of course, at that point, we're under the trees, so I have no way of seeing what is physically there. Also, keep in mind that this is the most difficult part because there is no chest to find. Unfortunately, I've proven how you solve the poem. I've proven and showed you how it leads to this location, but with no chest, I can't prove that this is the actual Blaze and Nook. I'm going by the information that they sent, and to me, it looks right on. And you can take a look at it and decide for yourself. So I'd like to thank Justin and Michelle again. They're from Wyoming, and I've been in contact with them ever since the chase ended. They were one of the couples that used our try the wheel solution and ended up at the wheel. And of course, they didn't find the treasure chest either. So I finished up the poem and I sent them the complete solve. And this is basically where they ended up. And we believe that this is the Blaze and the Nook. And again, I can't prove it, but nobody can really prove any ending at this point because the chest is gone. And Jack, assuming Jack is the finder, Jack had said that he didn't leave anything behind. So anyway, thanks again to Justin and Michelle. And here we go. Now, the first thing I want to say is when you park in the parking lot at the lower campground and you're right where the poem leads you, that sign that you see right here is the sign that tells you that the waterfalls are up here and that the trail is not maintained beyond this point. So this is where you park. This is as far as you can go. You have to walk from here. Now, I want you to keep in mind that when we arrive here, we're right at the last clue. If you've been wise and found the Blaze, look quickly down and the tarry scant with marble gaze. That's where we're at when we arrive here in the poem. So I want to point this screenshot out because this trail here leads to the place that I sent them. It leads to campsite that is closest to the waterfalls. In other words, it's a place where I could tarry scant with a view. I could walk through a view from that spot. This over here kind of circles around if you're not going to the camp and you're just going to go directly to the falls. If you follow this when it gets to campsite 9, you can also make a left and end up back on this trail again. So let me kind of give you a perspective of that. So here we are at a screenshot from above in Google Earth. We parked here in that screenshot that I showed you, and we're looking this way. So that sign is right here. Once you cross this line from here on and you're walking, campsite number 9 is here, and the Nook that we found, you'd have to ford the creek, and it's on the opposite side of the creek. Up here is that bench that I talked about and I showed in my other video, and the bench is actually facing down this way. And here's the waterfalls. So let me show you a zoomed in shot. So here we have a zoomed in shot, and I took some of the footage from the drone that Michelle and Justin sent me, and I overlaid it in Google Earth just to line everything up. And basically, this is where campsite number 9 is. Over here, there's a picnic table and there's a fire pit. Right across there, if you come down here, the stream or Five Springs Creek comes right across here. Also, keep in mind that the sun comes down over that bench that's up here and shoots down here towards the place that we made the turn to enter Five Springs Campground Road. So this is a recent screenshot. All the foliage and canopy is gone because we're approaching winter. So you're actually able to see down in there. Now, when you follow that path, and incidentally, it's kind of has this gravel here. You could bring a wheelchair up in here from the parking lot. You can get out and you can follow the wheelchair up to campsite number 9, which is the closest one. The waterfalls is up here, right? And this is the campsite. There's a rock over here. You can see the picnic table down here. There's a fire pit over here, and you would set up your tent over here. Now, this one is a close up of the picnic table, and we're standing by that rock that was in campsite number 9. Here's the fire pit. Here's the picnic table. You would set up your tent over on this side. And I want you to take a look at this tree here. And I'm going to show you this tree more. But basically, that's our blaze. And if you look at it, it's actually a double omega, upside down. All right. Now, keep in mind again that this is kind of not really the search season. So a lot of bushes and stuff that you would see are kind of gone now. And during the search season, they'd probably be there. You would be able to see this double horseshoe facing up. And then, of course, this tree in the middle is almost like a gun sight. If you were looking down the barrel of a gun, in other words, you left this table, you walked over here, and you sighted down. When you look down there towards the creek, that's where the Nook is. And while I'm pointing out the picnic table, I just want to mention something that old-time searchers already know. At one point, Forrest was asked, what are some necessary items every searcher should have when they bring their boots on the ground? And Forrest Fenn mentioned a couple things, and then he said, but you'll also need a flashlight and a sandwich. And I also want to point out that in this section of the forest, in all the bighorns, the most popular trees that you're going to find here are lodgepole pines, spruce, Douglas fir. Those are the 3 primary trees. You're going to see lesser ponderosa pines, aspens, dogwoods, and juniper and sagebrush. And that's going to become important in a minute, especially the dogwood. So anyway, when I was looking at this table, I thought about, you could sit down and have a sandwich there. Maybe he was joking that you, after you get the chest or whatever, you could come back to the campsite and wherever the picnic table is, sit there and eat your lunch before you go, or maybe before you go to get the chest. It's interesting either way. And of course, the spire is ablaze. Now, keep in mind, the sun comes right down over the creek over here. The solstice sun, if you trace it back, it'll come down in this area, oversects the trail that leads to this campsite. And again, there's 9 clues in the poem. This is campsite number 9 in the lower camp. And again, this was their physical blaze, and it's a double omega. It might not be that odd to see a tree shaped in an omega, but what are the chances that you're going to find 2 of them? And what are the chances that both of those are going to be on a site that I never seen, but the poem led me to? Now, here's another angle that they took yesterday. Here's that bench, and you can't really see the fire pit. It's over here. But you'll notice where I drew this red line, this tree was destroyed by nature. So if this is a blaze, it's broken now. And one of those big branches just is gone. It fell off. I don't know if it got hit by lightning, but I wanted to show that just from a different angle. Okay, now here is a video I want to show you. And at this point, they stepped off the area where the picnic table is, went on the opposite side of the blaze, and right now we're looking down at the Nook. The Nook is over here under 2 huge trees that fell. And I wanted to point out this here. I think this is dogwood. Well, in the summertime, this whole area, especially on the other side of the creek is right here, is all surrounded with dogwood. And there's enough room in there to fit maybe 1 person. And that's where we believe that the treasure chest was. If you look down from that double omega, you're going to be looking right across the creek at this. But keep in mind, again, you're looking at this since yesterday. So this is not what it would look like in the summer. This would all be filled with growth. You'd have to keep walking down to actually see that. You may be able to see it from a higher elevation. It's really difficult to tell with this video. So I'll let this video play and you can check it out.
Here is one of the trees here at campsite number 9, which is right there. And then you just walk down to right here, and that's where that's hidden.
Okay, so that is kind of what it looked like before he went. As you can see, and this is kind of an odd angle. It's kind of from above looking down. All right. So here's the creek again, and you can see that there's an area in here. And really, the only way to get in, if you were small and agile, you would be able to get in from under here. You could see when you're looking in this direction from the blaze, this is what you would see, but we're kind of looking top down on it. Okay. So this pit or this nook is covered over with these two large fallen trees. Now, here's a picture of Justin, and he went down and he forded the creek, and he's in that nook, or he's trying to get in that nook. He's clearing away or cutting and breaking all of the dogwood because there's no way, this would be completely covered with foliage. So we're lucky that it's the fall and you can see the branches from the dogwood that he's clearing here. And Justin is going to go in there. So there's Justin as he's going into that nook that's beneath those giant logs that are on here. It only goes back maybe 2 feet, if that. You'd be lucky to fit one person in there. And again, he had to clear away all of this that would in the summer would basically almost prevent you from seeing in there. So here's another short video that's going to go pan from the left to the right across that nook, just to give you a perspective as if you were standing up where that blaze is, kind of looking down this way. So there we go. You can see the creek's coming down. And you can see all the growth again. The nook is on the other side. And then there's the creek going down. Now, here's another clear shot of the nook. You can see it, but this time, as you can see, all of the the dogwood branches are pushed away. And he cut his way in there. It doesn't go back. This is not a cave. This is more like a nook, basically, in the ground that had trees fall over the top of it. I just want you again to keep in mind that when you're looking at this, you'll see the nook, but it's going to be covered in growth, and really a child could probably fit in there better. Also, you can't really tell from this vantage point, but closer to us is the creek bed is actually dry, because when they have the runoff from the winter, it'll actually come closer to us, the creek, and come down along here as it rushes down. So you would ford it here, and as you can see, this is really no challenge to get across that creek. Like any creek, you'd have to be careful of tripping over rocks. But let's take a look at this. You can see Justin cleaning it out, and she does another pan. And on the opposite side, incidentally, straight ahead, there's basically a cliff there that goes up. So those trees that are in the background, you can't really go much further than that. There are no trails over there. There's no real reason to go down here. Again, you can see the growth in there. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's dogwood, the ones with the red branches. I'm no tree expert, so. But that's it. Basically, right in that hole, right in here, okay, is where the chest would have been. Now I'm going to show you a couple pictures of what it looks like close up when you're over there. Here's what it looks like back in there, in that dark spot that you see. Basically nothing but a bunch of rocks. I believe that the chest would have been under those rocks. And I believe that if it was in this spot, the finder basically took it and threw all this junk in there and the branches and stuff to kind of fill in the spot where the treasure chest was to cover his tracks, basically. And then he took the chest across the creek, back up to the campsite. And I want to show you something about that, as a matter of fact. But let's take a look. So there's another view in there. Like I said, you can't really fit a person in the nook itself, but you certainly can fit a treasure chest up in there and then cover it with a rock. That rock probably had another blaze on it. We'll never know because the chest is gone. The place was disrupted. And Jack said he left nothing behind. And there's another picture of the car. Now, I wanted to come back to this picture again because if you look at this wood that's kind of used as footings, some of it, if you start getting back towards the trail, is really weathered really bad. And that kind of wood looks like what is like right next to a piece of that wood that's not in this picture, but back on the trail. That could be what that is, or it could be a section of the tree that was down. But the ground along the trails that lead you here looks very, very similar. And of course, it's got the same pine needles because it was taken from Wyoming and it was taken from here. So, of course, the surroundings are going to match. But anyway, that's the Nook. That's the Blaze right here. And you can let me know what you think. I mean, like I said, this is the hard part because you can't really prove this part. I can prove the poem solution. I showed you how it leads me here, but I can't say, that because there's no treasure to find. But that's true with any solve. Really, the only person that can comment on the solve is no longer with us. That would be Forrest Fenn. And I didn't mention Jack because Jack, until he gives out his solution, he really has nothing to back up or support what he's telling us. So if he's going to say that like somebody's solution is wrong, then he's got to say why it's wrong and give his solution. Because I'm not going to take his word for it. And neither are a lot of other searchers. We would take his word for it if Forrest Fenn were still alive, because Forrest Fenn would be around to contradict what he said. So anyway, folks, have a great weekend, and I'm glad I got this for you. I also have some drone footage coming. I don't have it yet. Justin's still working on it, but I wanted to get this out as soon as possible so you guys could see this. And as soon as the drone footage comes, I'll just add that as another video and you can take a look at it. I probably won't be speaking during that video because there's no point. But the drone will give you a general overview of this campsite, this whole area, probably all the way up to the falls. I'm not sure exactly what Justin shot. So there it is, folks. And have a great weekend. And if you like this stuff, please subscribe, please click like, and please pass this video around. And whatever you do, just remember one thing. Peace.